Hi, I'm Dan Henschel, and here are the top 5 hardest things about being a pilot. Number 1 is losing your sense of place and time. I remember my first day, I asked my captain what time I would get off, and he just looked at me and laughed. I pretty quickly figured out why. As a civilian, you tend to take things for granted, like knowing what time it is, knowing what day it is, knowing where you are. These are the things that anchor you to your sanity, typically. But being a pilot, in the span of 24 hours, you might be in 10 different time zones. You might fluctuate rapidly between day and night, summer and winter, Thursday and Friday. And this takes a toll on the human mind. You essentially completely lose yourself. Psychologists often compare a pilot's mental state to that of a person with late-stage dementia, because in both cases, you have no sense of where you are, when you are, or why you're there. For instance, right now I can see that there's a camera here. I see words on a teleprompter, and so I've assumed that I'm supposed to keep saying these words because somebody's recording me. I don't know anything else. I don't remember why I'm here. I don't know who that guy is. I don't know how long I've been doing this. I see a person in the monitor wearing a pilot's uniform, and that person is doing the things that I'm doing, so I've assumed that this person is me and that I'm a pilot. Number 2 is sort of tied into this. It's definitely exacerbated by this, and that's sleep, or perhaps I should say lack thereof. Airlines are able to avoid a lot of labor laws because of the scattered nature of the industry. You might work for an airline based in Sweden, but the plane you're flying in is registered in the Bahamas, and now you're going from Hong Kong to Hawaii. You get the idea. This causes a lot of problems. It's so confusing trying to figure out how long you've been up or how much sleep you're operating on that eventually you stop doing it even for your own sake. The good news is that you can sleep during the flight. While you're in the air, there's pretty much nothing to do. Unfortunately, many times you're too stressed to sleep because of number 3, which is that takeoff and landing are really hard. It is technically not physically possible for a plane to take off and land, at least not based on our current understanding of math and physics. It shouldn't be able to happen, but it does. And I think that that's more reflective of the fact that math itself is wrong. I have a lot of theories about this, as do my fellow pilots. This is the kind of stuff that we talk about in flight because, like I said, our minds have essentially turned into soup. For instance, when I talk to my co-pilot during the flight and it's just us, to me it feels like we're having a normal conversation in English, but every plane has something called a black box, which records basically everything that happens on the plane, so that if the plane crashes, the investigators can get the data from the black box and they can piece together what happened. One of the things the black box records is audio from inside the cockpit. And when non-pilots listen to the black box recording of 2 pilots talking to each other in flight, they can't understand what they're saying. They're not talking to each other in any identifiable language that we know exists. When they talk to other people, it's normal. So when they talk on the radio, when they talk to the flight attendants, that's totally normal. But when they talk to each other, linguists have no clue what's going on. And nobody really knows why that is. The working theory is that it's related to the shared psychosis that pilots experience losing their sense of place and time. So I suppose that would be number 4. The good news about this is that it makes pilots almost inhumanly good at flying. Like I said, flying a plane shouldn't be physically possible, but for some reason pilots can do it. They don't seem to be bound by physics, at least not as we understand them, and we don't know why this is either. It likely has something to do with the pilot psychosis, but that's all we know. There are so many more things I hate about being a pilot. I could easily list 100, but to sum them all up, the last one, number 5, is that it just sucks. It's not fun. I'm very depressed. I have a lot of substance abuse issues. I drink heavily. I take a lot of pills. It doesn't affect my performance flying, but I often wish that it would. I wish that my plane would crash. I just want this all to end. I live in a hell worse than even the most sadistic religion could imagine, but because I'm so deep in my own psychosis, I can't even feel my own pain. If I met a genie, my one and only wish would be to be able to cry again. So that's the 5 hardest things about being a pilot.